Anyway, you know what? Tonight is like kind of the fourth night out of five we're doing stuff. We had a great thing on Saturday, and then Sunday we had our picnic. And no, Friday night we had our Cafe Mana night, and we were out together. And Saturday, we did some Saturday, and then Sunday, and then Monday, and today's Tuesday. So this is kind of coming to the end of a 5-day week for us in this ministry. So we're a little thin tonight. But you know what? Here's something that I learned in ministry. Whoever's here was ordained by God to be for such a time as this. So I would have very attentive ears tonight because God has something to tell you. That's how you made it here tonight. So tonight we have a special treat. One of the things that we want to do in our ministry is make the world our church. Or the
city is our church.
The city is our church. But you know what? We want to actually do that. And we want to reach out to the community, and we want to touch lives outside of this building. And to do that, we want to get involved in company businesses and Christian-owned businesses. And that's one of the reasons that we support Cafe Mana, because he's one of our Christian business partners who's doing business in an ethical, wonderful way that honors God and helps people. Well, another one of the Christian business partners that has done that in our lives already is my dear friend Amy. And Amy's going to share with us today a little bit about how she got to where she's at. And though Amy is single, I want you to remember that she is single because of the legacy of a married couple. And in our class, everybody who was in class, one of the things that we talked about that was a pillar of why we do what we do is not just what we're doing for us, but our destiny and our legacy. Because God tells us that we should leave an inheritance for our kids and our children's children. And so she is the result of one of our legacies. So tonight, for the homily, Amy's going to come up and share. Amy's from Serenity Wellness. She's the regional director of the Christian Business Partners, which is a phenomenal organization promoting Christian businesses throughout the Inland Empire. So if you would join me in a round of applause, Amy's going to come on up and we're going to make a jump up and talk here. Yeah, or we could use that one.
If I can avoid using the mic, can I do that? Yes. You guys can still hear me? Because I'll knock it over.
Okay. I don't ever use the mic, so that's
okay.
You need to say Wednesday.
Okay.
Do you need this?
No. Okay. I'll be over. I might flip over that too. I was a high school English teacher, and anytime the projector was out, guaranteed I was tripping over the cord and landing on my face and going, oh, whatever. You know. High school students are going to laugh at you whether they're standing upright or on the ground, so it doesn't matter. Well, my name is Amy, and it's an honor for me to be speaking with you on this topic, since of course I'm unmarried, and you may be wondering why they would invite an unmarried woman to come speak to you to inspire, encourage, and empower you in your marriage commitment. And honestly, when Steve asked me, I was a little wondering that myself. But what I wanted to tell you is a little bit about my story, and I wrote it down because there's a few parts where I may or may not cry, and now that I've said that, I probably won't. And I just only have 5 minutes, so I want to make sure that I get everything said. I'm a massage and skin specialist, and when I was first naming my business, I thought, everybody needs a little R&R, right? So in honor of my grandpa and how he met my grandma during World War II while on R&R in New Zealand, I was going to name my business R&R. Even though our bodies are not in the trenches like he was during the war, we are still in the trenches of work and environmental stress, causing cell oxidation and breakdown, leading to our own need to rest, recover, and restore ourselves, physically, mentally, and spiritually. But I wanted a name for my business that tells who I am and what's important to me. And I remember a cross stitch that was in my grandmother's living room. And it's been there my lifetime. Serenity equals the courage to act, plus the patience to wait, plus the wisdom to know the difference. And my grandpa did meet my grandma while in New Zealand, looking for a hunk-junk piece of car that he was going to buy for my great-grandfather. And she happened to be home instead of teaching because she had broken her leg and couldn't return to the classroom. And I don't know how their relationship evolved from a chance encounter to the beginning of a love affair that would last over 60 years. But at the time of their meeting, my grandma was engaged to a British Air Force pilot, and she chose to break her engagement with him in order to be with my grandpa.
Wow.
Grandpa returns to the fight. The war ended. He returns to California, and she's determined to hop a flight on Pan Am and get to the States. Everyone was telling her she was crazy, crazy to go, crazy to trust this American soldier she barely knew to be there when she arrived. That was happening, you know. Women were being told by men, I'll marry you, and flying across the country just to be left alone, and then the man never even showing up. 3 years in New Zealand. She waited and waited and waited. No planes, no boats, no states. 3 years after my grandpa left, my grandma is finally given passage on a cargo ship. Supposed to arrive in Newport News, then gets rerouted to New York, then gets rerouted to Nova Scotia, up in Canada. California, Canada. And she's from this little island the size of my pinky. In telegraph messages back and forth, he tells her that he'll meet her at the train in New York on Sunday, but she's arriving on Saturday. And there's a couple that says, you know, we'll stay with you until if he arrives. And the only time my grandfather has ever been on time in his life was that day, picking her up from the train station. They pile into his dad's borrowed car, stay with family in Kentucky, get married, and make the trek to California. And as she's crossing the desolate country, brown and dry, she's thinking of the green New Zealand that she left behind and gave up, and thinking, what have I gotten myself into? They arrive in Fontana and stay with family. He's so sick after the war, he can't work. But she's fortunate to get a teaching position at Bloomington Elementary to support themselves. Once he's stronger, he starts a fruit packing company, and they build a shack of a house on that property. Wires hanging from the ceiling, no drywall, almost a dirt floor, screens on the windows to remind her of home and her island and the breeze. That shack is still on the property, and I grew up playing in it without even knowing its history. But their story didn't end there. I could tell you about the time at church when she walked up to him and said, Gene Bell, if you think I'm going to be spending my life waiting for you, you've got another thing coming. And huffed off and walked into that church by herself, and you better believe he followed right after her. I could tell you about a boy from Mexico who became their foster son when he came to stay with them while he attended school, and how they paid for him and all of his brothers and sisters to go to college. Or about the Mexican orphanage their foster son started that they support. I could tell you about the students in her elementary school. When they grew up, they became his employees. I could tell you about a little church in Redlands that they planted. I could tell you about everybody knowing his name because he left his hat everywhere he went. At church, at the restaurant. Sir, you forgot your hat. I could tell you about their squabbles or their barbecues. I could tell you how he always said, I'll never forget you. Now, what was your name again? I could tell you how he started every prayer at meal by asking, with a little smirk, is this enough to be thankful for? Because it always is. Right? And I could tell you about their granddaughter, English teacher turned business owner, who values relationships and the commitment of marriage, whether she's married or not. But those are stories for another time, as this epic legacy continues.
Amen.
As regional director of the Christian Business Partners, I knew that she was good. I just didn't know she was that good. I want you to think about something, family. I want you to think about your legacy. Who's going to be telling stories about your marriage in 60 years from now? About how you used to show up every Tuesday with a group of individuals that you just met to strengthen your marriage, to make sure that you had a legacy to follow. Because what you do now, the seeds that you plant today, somebody down the road is going to have to eat from the tree that you're planting. So let's make sure that we plant some good seeds tonight. Amen? Amen. Thank you again. That was wonderful. The romance under the stars?
Yeah, but she's not going to tell us about her business?
No. Oh, yes. But maybe. The romance under the stars, one of the gifts that we're going to be doing is a session with Amy at her business. As a matter of fact, if we can indulge for about a couple more minutes, you want to give your business presentation?
I wasn't prepared for that.
Or, like the 30-second thing that we do every that one. Because Amy actually has a local business that we would highly encourage all married couples. Tell us about the married couple thing that we're going to be able to take advantage of on the giveaway night.
Well, I have these flyers for couples retreat. They're called Discover Your Local Oasis. And one of the things that I want to do is have a couples night September 20th where you and your spouse can come and experience together the reconnection, the rejuvenation that something like a massage and a skin therapy treatment and a little salt scrub together gives you the opportunity to reconnect. And so at the Romance Under the Stars, we'll actually be offering some of those at the raffle prizes, as well as giving discounts on those things and some other things. So I brought some of those flyers for you tonight, and it actually has a little coupon on the bottom that if you mention tonight, I'll give you another $30 off a couples treatment, where you come in, you can sit in the sauna, you can hang out with the one you love, and then we take you back into the room and you guys can get just relaxed and de-stressed together.
So we're just missing, so me and my wife can take advantage of that tonight. So y'all have some fun.
Is there a sign up? No, I'm just...
Thank you again, Amy. That was wonderful. So we're going to have those flyers and brochures once we break up from class. So now it's time to break up 2 classes. Do we have any announcements before?
Well, I was just going to, I don't know, Robin, will you cover the topic for today? Yeah.
Good call. Because the topic for tonight is a good one. And it's going to be thought-provoking and inspiring and motivational. And as soon as Robin tells me what it is, I'm going to tell you that. I think tonight's about jealousy.
Yeah.
Anybody ever experienced some challenges with jealousy? Oh, yeah. Not here at this church, we met at the other church, but you've seen what it looks like from the other people. How many first-time guests do we have here tonight? Well, Robin's getting that. Oh, hey! Okay, I remember we met you this weekend, but could you stand up and introduce yourselves to us? Tell us who you are and how long you've been married, how many kids you have, if you do.
We're engaged.
Oh, praise God.
I'm Ernie. This is my fiance. We actually have 2 kids. She has a daughter. I have a son. So my parents have been talking about this.
Praise God.
It's something to see. It's something to experience. A lot of fun and a lot of fun things to learn.
Amen. Well, we're certainly happy to have you. I saw another hand go up. Who was here for the first time? That's right. Why don't you tell everybody else who you are? I mean, we know you and love you, but everybody else might not.
Christina Galvin. I come on Sundays for marriage talk. It's my first time here at this school. I've been married for 15, going on 16 years, and we have.
Praise God. And football boy. I mean, my friend Antoine, and it was Friday night was Antoine's birthday, so we celebrated on Friday and Saturday and Sunday and Monday. Today's Tuesday, so we're not going to celebrate and sing to him tonight. But could you guys introduce yourself? You got to kind of stand up for him because everybody else did.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Evelyn Williams, and this is my husband Anthony Action Shine. We just celebrated 4 years a week before his birthday, and this is our first time here.
Amen.
We know Steve through sports ministry. My husband's a coach, and I kind of am a team mom out there. I'm looking forward, Steve's been invited us to time, so I'm really looking forward to meeting a lot of people, getting some different ideas, and he's worked with the family. I have a son that's 30, and then he has a grandchild now, who's 2, and then he has 2 boys, 25.
We're happy, Artie. So your modesty actually the championship coach for his age group. So if you guys got some kids or grandkids, it's a good coach that we got there.
Luz, did you introduce yourself?